Hi everyone and welcome to today's session. We are now in block 3 of the first phase, so there's going to be a little bit of a change to the format of sessions. So this athletic development session today is going to have 3 units instead of the 4 that you're familiar with. So it's going to be a stability mobility unit, which is going to be progressive in the exercises we're going to use. So we're going to take some of the strength and power unit exercises and now incorporate them into our warm-up or stability mobility unit. We're then going to progress on to a strength and power unit, again with more advanced exercises. And as always, we'll finish up with the cool down exercises or cool down stretches. So we're going to kickstart this with the stability mobility unit. And as always, we're going to start off with the breathing control and core bracing exercises. So Keelan's going to demonstrate that for us. So these are exercises that, Keelan, I'll get you to get your knees bent and feet flat for this one. Yeah, perfect. These are exercises that you're very familiar now at this, familiar with at this stage, but don't dismiss them. Focus on getting that breathing control right and the core brace at the beginning of every session if you can. So it's an inhale in through the nose, breathing down into the tummy, holding for 2 seconds and exhaling out through the mouth. So you know the drill with this one. Every time you repeat it with more control, repeat it with a deeper breath. You can use the hands on the chest and tummy here, just to emphasize that tummy breath. So what you're trying to do is trying to get that hand on your tummy to lift up and drop down as you're breathing. So 5 cycles of this on a count of 4 for the inhale, 2 on the hold, and 6 on the exhale. Trying to push that diaphragm down every time you breathe in, trying to expand through the lungs as much as possible. Good. So after 5 cycles on that, I want you to take your hands down by your side, and we're going to go to the core bracing. So tension through the core and holding for 10 seconds. Again, a reminder here, not too much tension, just a gentle squeeze of those core muscles, holding it and then relaxing. So completely relax for a few seconds, and then again, another 10-second round, draw that tension in through the core, waking up those deep lying core muscles, getting them ready for the rest of the session. And relax, perfect. Okay, we're going to start some movement now. So you can actually stay where you are, sorry Keelan. So now that we've woken up the core muscles, we've got the breathing control right, we can introduce movement. And now we're going to take an exercise that you would have performed in previous strength and power units and now perform it at the beginning of the session. You'll have strengthened through that exercise, so now we can perform it a little bit earlier in the session. So this is the dead bug exercise. So you're all familiar with this. We're going to take the hands up above the chest, feet off the ground, and we're going to use the bent leg variation to start off with. So both legs off the ground for this one and knees bent, Keelan. Yeah. So this is going to be your opposite arm and leg movement. So raising the feet, heels up off the ground a little bit more so that they're in line with the heel or with the knees. Perfect, good. So a reminder here on this, you're flattening your back to the mat to engage the core. Keep that tension through the core, keep the back glued to the mat, and you're extending the opposite arm and leg, reaching down to touch off the ground. Tap, draw it back, nice and slow, and do the same on the opposite side. Good. So take your time with this movement. You're going to do about 6 to 10 repetitions here to really wake up those core muscles, get the arms and legs moving, get that transfer of strength through the core and to the upper and lower body. So take your time with this, nice and slow through the movement. Yeah. So a bit of a tricky one to start off with, quite an advanced exercise, but hopefully from the previous blocks, you're now prepared for this. One more tap. Draw it back and slowly down to the mat. Good. So just remind yourself on that to just keep that core engaged. Don't lose control of the movement. Okay, you can stay in the position for the next exercise. Again, it's another exercise that would have been performed in your strength and power unit, but now we're taking it into your mobility stability unit to get you prepared for the session. So this is a single leg hip bridge exercise. So you're going to center one leg, extend the opposite leg in line with the grounded leg. You're going to squeeze through the glute and you're going to lift the hips up in the air, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. Pause and slowly return to the ground and let yourself fully come down to the ground with the back. Engage to the glute and lift. And you're going to drive pressure through your heel on this exercise. So repeating this 10 times or 6 to 10 times just for that warm up. And what you're trying to do here is to wake up that glute muscle. So those muscles in the back side, we're telling them to engage, we're telling them to wake up for the rest of the session. So take your time with this exercise. We are still in the stability mobility warm up stage of the session. So nice and slow and just really focusing on engagement of the muscle you're working. So in this case, that glute. So talking to that glute muscle, getting it to engage on the lift. Watching the hips as well. Don't let the hips twist or rotate, keeping them nice and flat throughout the movement. Good. 10 reps on each side. So let's switch that over. Center the opposite leg. Good. Squeeze through the glute, drive the hips high, and pressure through the heel. So your foot is flat, but I want you to imagine driving pressure through the heel as you lift the hips up. All the while talking to that muscle in the back side, that glute muscle, engage to switch on and lift your hips up. Core staying nice and strong here too. Every rep you do, you're trying to engage that glute muscle a little bit more. Don't forget about that core connection here as well. We want to keep that core engaged throughout the movement. Good. Let's go for 4 more repetitions here. So Keelan is doing 10 repetitions, but you can do anywhere between 6 and 10 reps here just to wake up those muscles. Control on that drop. Perfect. Good. Okay, we've got the core woken up. We've got the glutes woken up. Let's stand up. And we're going to challenge the glutes a little bit more here. And we're also going to challenge through single leg stability here too. Okay, so we're going to work on an exercise called Around the World. So I'm going to get Keelan to pop his shoes off here. And anyone that's joining us as well, I want you to try perform this movement with your shoes off. It challenges the ankle to stabilize a little bit more if you're not wearing shoes. So this exercise, Keelan, I'll get you out here in front. This exercise, and that's a little bit more perfect. This exercise is going to challenge movement through different planes. So forward and to the side and behind. So staying on one leg here, you're going to reach to the front, to the side, and behind. And pause it here. We're going to switch it over. Opposite leg reaching to the front. And we'll go to the side first before we go behind. Sorry, Keelan. Yep, perfect. To the side and behind. Perfect. Good. Okay, I'll get you the pause there. Okay, so that's the basic movement. We're reaching in front, we're reaching to the side, we're reaching behind, and switch legs then to come across to the other side. What you'll notice is that Keelan is sliding the foot along the ground. So try get that foot to slide forward and slide back as you perform this movement. So Keelan, I'm going to get you to do that again. I'm just going to point out a couple of things here. You'll also notice that Keelan leans back on the movement and doesn't fall into a squat movement. And here he leans forward to allow that back foot to come back. Only go as far as you can with the reach where you have control. And you'll notice this stabilizing leg is a little bit shaky, and that's going to happen. It's challenging the stability of that leg. Perfect. Okay, Keelan, I'm going to get you to face this direction just for one more, and that's what you're going to perform at home as well. You're going to do 3 repetitions on this around the world. 3 points on the right leg. Forward to the side and back. Good. And 3 points with the left leg. Forward, going as far as you can, to the side and back. Perfect. Okay, Keelan, I'll get you to pop the shoes back on. So with that exercise, just take your time with it. You can do more than 3 repetitions there on that, but really exaggerate that movement forward, to the side and back as much as you can with control. So if you feel like you're losing control over the movement, or you're having to compensate by dropping down into that squat position, just limit yourself on that movement. And each time you do it, try go a little bit further and further with control. The final exercise in this mobility stability unit is your T rotation exercise. And what we're really focusing on here is opening up the chest and working into the upper spine, the upper back, the thoracic region. So it tends to get quite tight. So we're looking at engaging into that area and opening up. Okay, so T rotation exercise starts in a push-up position. Hands below the shoulders. Toes underneath, feet are hip width apart. Good. So nice strong core on this. And Keelan, I'm going to get you to lift your left arm off the ground, rotating and reaching that arm up to the ceiling, and reach it back towards me here, opening up the chest. Good. Take it back down, stabilize, and you're going to rotate and reach your right arm across to the opposite side. Good. And back down. So you're rotating here left and right, and you're going to do this about 3 to 5 times with each arm. Each time you do this, you're going to focus on opening up the chest a little bit more, squeezing in through the shoulder blades and stretching out. Good. Not reaching so far that you end up losing control from that nice body position. Good. Okay, I'm going to get you to do that once more, Keelan, and that'll be 5 repetitions, but anywhere here between 3 and 5 reps, just to open up that chest. So that's our stability mobility unit, and we're going to take it on to our strength and power unit next. We're now on to our strength and power unit, where we're going to progress exercises from the previous block. So we're going to do 2 to 3 sets of this, but what we're going to do here today is introduce the first set and then leave it to you to perform a second or third set based on how you're feeling. So the first exercise we're going to complete is the decline hip bridge exercise. So in previous blocks, you will have performed the hip bridge exercise and the single leg hip bridge exercise. And now we're progressing on to a decline hip bridge where there's a little bit more pressure on the hamstring muscles. So I'm going to get Keelan to demonstrate this exercise here. So you are going to need some sort of raised surface here. So you can use a lower chair, low table. You could use a couch for this, but nothing too high. So you can see here, Keelan's got a nice position. He's still got about a 90-degree angle here through the hips. So if you're a bit too high on this, you're going to lose form on the exercise. So you're engaging still through the glutes to raise the hips up high and controlling on the drop and coming down completely to a rested position to allow the glutes and hamstrings to switch off. So 10 repetitions here on this exercise. Keep it nice and slow. This is quite an advanced exercise. There's quite a bit of pressure here on the hamstring muscles. So you definitely don't want to be moving too fast through this exercise. Good. Control that movement down. So just a little bit slower on that drop, Keelan. And if you feel that this is a little bit too advanced, I want you to take it back to that hip bridge on the mat. So take the feet down onto the ground, and you can even perform that single leg hip bridge. And when you're feeling a bit stronger, you can progress onto the elevated or declined hip bridge exercise. Okay, so 10 reps on that, and then we'll transition on to the next exercise. So we're going to perform the split squat exercise next. The split squat exercise is essentially a lunge position, but we're teaching that single leg or that split stance squat movement. So you're going to come into the lunge position, drop down into a lunge, and then drive up and hold that position. So coming up to full extension and back down again. So you're going to drive the pressure through that front heel up and down, repeating on that same leg for 10 repetitions. Okay, so Keelan, I'll get you to step out here. So let's get you back to the standing position first. So you're going to start with your feet hip width apart. So making sure you're not starting too narrow with this one. And now stepping into that lunge position. Good, and you can step into it reverse or front, but I'll get you, Keelan, just to step back a little bit further with that back foot just to get that nice 90-degree angle. Perfect. Hands on your hips or in front, wherever it's most comfortable. But you're going to come down, bending the knee close to the ground and come to a full extension. Good. You're going to drive through that front heel as you come up and come up as tall as you can. Good. So just keeping it controlled. So if you feel like you've brought pace into it and you're losing control of the movement, just slow it down a little bit. Good. Keeping that torso nice and tall as well. So again, 10 repetitions here. And then we're going to switch it over. Perfect. Okay. So what you do want to watch there is the knee coming over the toes. So if you find that that's happening, take a wider stance position. Okay. Let's switch legs, Keelan. Good. Perfect. Okay, so working on those angles. So this is a progression on from your forward lunge exercise where you're repeating it on one leg and stepping it back, allowing that leg to get a bit of a break. Now you're keeping that split stance position and you're dropping and extending, not giving those legs a break. So if you find that this is a bit difficult, you can take it back to that forward lunge where you get that break as you stand up in between each rep. Good. Okay, the next exercise is the push-up, but we're going to do a single leg lift on this exercise. So the idea of this exercise is to progress on to a 3-point base position. So what I mean by that is before we had a 4-point base position, we had hand, hand, foot, foot, and we were performing the push-up. Now if we take one leg up, we've got a 3-point base on the push-up. So it makes it a lot more challenging for the core. It makes it a lot more challenging for the upper body. Again, if you're struggling with this, you take it back to your normal push-up exercise. But Keelan's going to demonstrate here. You're going to alternate the leg lift as you drop to a push-up, return the leg, and lift the opposite leg. So again, 10 repetitions here in total. You're still maintaining that nice technique of the push-up. If you feel like you've lost that technique, take it back to the normal push-up. So you're dropping down as low as you can with control. If you feel like you've lost control of the movement, make it a little bit more shallow. Don't drop as deep. But you've got a nice straight line from your shoulders down to your heels, strong core, and you're pushing the ground away from you on the way back up. Good. So you can see here, this exercise is a lot more challenging with that 3-point base. Okay, on to the next exercise. This is going to be your lateral lunge exercise that we would have learned previously. But now we're going to take the leg into an elevated position. And the idea of this is that we start putting pressure on one leg to stay stabilized so that we can progress later on to a single leg squat exercise. Okay, so your one foot is going to be on the box, opposite leg aligned, ankle, knee, and hip aligned. So you don't want that foot out too wide, out away from you. You won't have control over the movement. So find your base. So Keelan, I'll get you to come over and find the angles that work for you. Good. So you're going to need to come out a little bit more here with this foot. So now we've got that straight, we've got that alignment through the ankle and the knee. Perfect. Okay. Hands in front if you want for this as you come down, or hands on your hips, whatever you're most comfortable with. You're going to drop down, and you can see here as Keelan's doing this, that you're mimicking a single leg squat exercise. You're trying to get as much depth as you can while keeping the torso upright. Good, and not letting the upper body hinge forward too much. Okay, I'll get you the pose there because this leg is bending a little bit, so you might need to either bring your leg back onto the box a little bit more or this leg back out. Yep, so let's give that a go again. Good. And take your time with this. You're trying to get that leg used to pressure and loading onto that single leg. Good. So take your time getting the mechanics right here. 10 repetitions on each leg. Perfect, good. Okay, I'll get you to either, come to the other side of the box or turn around, that's perfect. And same thing on this side. So get your angles right. If you're too close to the box, you'll see you won't be able to get that alignment. So come out, get that alignment through the ankle and the knee. Press the backside out behind. So think of that squat, the technique on the squat. You're pushing through the backside as if you're sitting down onto something, and you're driving through that heel of the foot that's planted on the ground. Good. Just take your time with it. You don't want to rush this exercise. You want to get that alignment of the ankle, the knee, and the hip. Torso upright, strong core. And you'll start to feel a lot more pressure now on that leg that's planted on the ground. Ten repetitions each side. Perfect. Okay. So that's going to be our introduction into loading on the single leg, and you'll see we'll progress that later on. Okay, the final exercise is going to be your side plank exercise. So this is an exercise that you will have learned before. We're now going to advance it on to include a little bit of movement. So Keelan, I'm going to get you down into that side plank position. So just a reminder of that position. So resting on the elbow, straight line from shoulders through the knees down to the ankles, and your feet are stacked. Good. So this arm, just straighten that up a little bit. Good. You're lifting the hips up off the ground. You're trying to keep them off the ground, and now you're going to reach underneath, rotating through the torso and reaching back up to the ceiling. Good. Follow with your eyes, allowing the torso to rotate. So we're going to perform 10 repetitions here on each side, keeping the hips up off the ground. So you'll see the hips want to drop down. Don't let them drop down. So including a little bit of movement here into the side plank is really advancing that side plank. It's challenging you to maintain that stability through the side plank while there's movement going on. So if you feel that this is a bit too challenging, just take it back to that side plank. Stabilize through the side plank, no movement, build up strength with that, and then progress on to movement when you're ready. 10 repetitions on each side. You may find that one side is a little bit stronger than the other. If you do experience this and you do need to take a rest during the 10 reps, that's absolutely fine. You can do that, build up the strength, and maybe just take your time with that side that's a bit weaker and really focus on that movement. Still maintaining that nice alignment through the shoulders, the knees, the hips, the ankles, everything stacked here from the feet to the knees, the hips, and the shoulders. And that rotation is controlled. Follow with the eyes. Don't let the hips drop down to the mat. Perfect. Okay. Keelan will get you onto your feet. That is our 5 exercises for this strength and power unit. What you will do now is take a 1 to 2 minute break, and then you're going to repeat that set again, each exercise again, with a quick transition between the exercises. If you're feeling up to it, you can extend that onto a third set, but just see how you're feeling. So we're going to move on to the cool down next. We're now going to take it onto a cool down stretch just to finish off the workout. Okay, so for the cool down stretch, you're going to hold each stretch for about 30 to 45 seconds. And you're going to flow through a routine here from standing position down onto the floor and then back up onto the feet. Okay, so Henry, we're going to just start off with a stretch for the posterior chain, so along the calves, hamstrings, glutes, into your back, and we're going to stretch through the chest as well. So I'm going to get you to take your hands behind your back, interlock your fingers, and then you're going to pull your arms back to stretch through your chest. From that position, feet pointing forward, just about shoulder width apart. You're going to hinge forward at the hips and try bring your arms up as high as you can to the ceiling. So you're pulling your hands up to the ceiling and trying to keep your legs nice and straight on this. Good. So we're going to hold here for 30 seconds on each stretch. Really pulling those arms up And really exaggerate that pull of the chest. And as you hold this movement, try exaggerate that pull, pulling back through the shoulders, pulling the hands towards the ceiling. Good. So just holding for another 5 seconds, really exaggerating that stretch and just using a nice slow, controlled breathing pattern here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, keeping that position, Henry, bring your hands down onto the mat. Good. You're going to walk forward. You're going to drop onto one knee. And you're going to bring the opposite foot forward. And we're going to take a hip flexor stretch here. Good. So you're going to lean forward. And what you're looking for here is a nice stretch on the front of the hip. If you're not feeling that stretch, you can just walk your front foot forward a little bit more. If you're too far back, you're not going to get that stretch. So your knee here in front doesn't want to come over the toes. You're going to walk it forward and hold that stretch. Again, holding each stretch for about 30 seconds. If you can't hold it for a little bit longer, you can go up to 45 seconds. Okay, let's keep that position, and we're going to take it now to the hamstring on the opposite side. So you're going to sit back, you're going to allow the toes come up towards you, and you're going to reach forward towards the foot. Okay, so as you're performing this stretch, you want to reach your hands towards the foot, but don't force the stretch and don't force any of these stretches. So just stretching to the point of tension and never pain on these movements. So you're just reaching towards that foot. If you can't reach the foot or the ankle, don't worry about it. Don't force the movement. So again, holding for about 30 seconds here, just helping these muscles to stretch out and kickstart that recovery. Good. Okay, Henry, you're going to switch legs. Opposite leg forward. You're going to push forward for that hip flexor stretch. If you're not feeling that, again, walk that front foot forward a little bit more. And just gently sitting forward. And let your torso come forward with you. You don't want to pull back on this movement. So just keep that spine neutral and hinge forward. Just trying to find that stretch on the front of that back leg. Again, using your breath, deep breaths into the nose, out through the mouth, remembering that that breath can help mobilize the joints and muscles. And sitting back for your hamstring stretch on this side. Again, reaching towards the foot, but not forcing the movement. If you can't reach the foot or ankle, just reach down along the leg as far as you can. If you find that the muscle is releasing out and you can reach a little bit further, take it that little bit further. And on each exhale, imagine that muscle relaxing. And relax. Perfect. Okay, let's face this direction for the next one, Henry. We're going to take it now to the inner thigh. Take your hands down in front. You're going to bring your left leg out to the side. Toes pointing forward. And you're going to press back, and you should feel this stretch along the inside of the left leg. If you're struggling to find that stretch, you're just going to walk the supporting knee out a little bit wider and gently press back into it. You can rotate through the torso and sink down into it if you want to find a little bit of a deeper stretch. Feeling that, Henry? Again, about 30 to 45 seconds. And you can switch legs. Good. Okay, straight leg on the stretching leg. Sit back into it. Try find that stretch along the inside of the leg. Again, if you're struggling to find that stretch, you can walk the supporting knee out a little bit more, or you can rotate your torso towards the supporting knee. Again, using your breath, relax the muscles on the exhale. Good. Okay, Henry, I'll get you to bring your hands to the front of the mat again. From here, you're going to lift onto your toes. Nice straight leg position. Walk back to a standing position. Trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. And we're just going to finish off. You can stay facing that direction, Henry. We're going to finish off with a quad stretch. So you're going to keep your supporting leg nice and soft on this. I want you to reach back, grab a hold of your foot behind, and pull your heel towards your back side. Now, as you're doing this, the supporting knee staying soft to stabilize. And pulling your heel nice and close to the back side. If your knee is out here in front, you're not going to feel that stretch. So pull it back in line with the opposite leg or back beyond it if you can. Also trying not to let that knee flare out to the side. So keep it centered, keep it pulled back, and hold that stretch on the quad. Again, 30 to 45 seconds, and switch it over. Soft supporting leg. Keep that balance. If you are struggling to balance here, you can just hold on to something and get that stretch. So again, knee centered, pull it back. Try not to let it come out in front. Try not to let it come out to the side. Pull it back, stay centered, and feel that stretch on the front here on the quad. Again, using your breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And relax. Good. Okay, and that's it for our session today. Thank you very much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you in the next session.